What's up, everybody? I'm Atlas from Atlas Gaming, and today we will be playing Kyle is Famous. Kyle wakes up. He is famous. Kyle is the host of the most popular talk show in recent memory, Stay Up Late with Kyle. Stay Up Late with Kyle has grown in popularity quickly in the last year, and the public has noticed. Inside has called Kyle a most excellent dumpy white man. Top Tech noted that Kyle is inspiring youth to explore STEM fields. Most other talk shows are dedicated to discussing Kyle and his personal details. Most online videos are best of clips taken from Kyle's latest broadcast. The eye of the world is upon Kyle. Tonight is Kyle's most important guest interview yet. Stay Up Late with Kyle will be featuring Rachel May. She is a kind and lovely philanthropist. She is dear to the hearts of many. This interview requires preparation. Kyle cracked his eyes open, knowing today is his last chance to prepare for the interview. Kyle has 30 hours left. He must choose his actions wisely. Kyle's first decision of the morning was made wisely. Wither away. Kyle decided to stay put and wither away. Kyle withered successfully and died. Shucks. Kyle is now a ghost. This does not relieve him of his responsibilities. Kyle exited his bed and took a quick glance around his bedroom. Let's open the closet. Kyle opened the closet. It was dark, and he could only see his hanging shirts. Kyle decided to take some time to choose the perfect outfit, knowing how important his appearance was. Skunk pasties. Let's do the suit. Kyle miraculously crammed his dumpy body into the suit. The chest pockets were filled with random knickknacks. Kyle returned to the center of the bedroom. Sit at desk. Kyle made his way over to his desk and sat down. Write notes for the interview. Kyle wrote down his first question. Are you a mother? Kyle wrote down his second question. Kyle wrote down the third question. Kyle wrote down his last question. Kyle ripped his page of notes out of the notebook and got up from the desk. Kyle made his way over to his desk and sat down. Kyle opened up the side drawer on his desk and grabbed one of the items stored there. Kyle grabbed the small key he kept in his desk. Kyle made his way over to his desk and sat down. You ever say a word so much it doesn't even sound like a word anymore? That's how I feel about Kyle. Exit bedroom to hallway. Kyle walked into the small hallway that connects the rooms of his apartment together. Kitchen. Kyle walked to the center of the kitchen. Kyle opened the fridge intending to find something to eat. Kyle constructed a breakfast of poached eggs and toast along with a small fruit cup and grilled sausage. Kyle ate his breakfast slowly and thoughtfully, enjoying every bite. He felt refreshed. I don't feel refreshed after hearing all that. Kyle walked to the center of the kitchen. Turned the hallway. Kyle walked into the small hallway that connects his rooms of his apartment together. Leave apartment. Kyle walked out into the middle of the road and took a long, pondering look around him. Kyle approached his downstairs neighbor. A middle-aged woman named Gabby answered the door. She looked at Kyle expectantly. Greet and start a conversation. Good morning, neighbor, said Kyle cheerfully. Gabby looked at Kyle expectantly. Gabby, what are your true thoughts about Rachel May? Kyle hurried to the set. Per normal, he ceased to be a ghost before he arrived. Sitting across from his host chair was a glamorous woman with an air of genuinity. As Kyle approached her, Rachel looked up and smiled. Good evening, Kyle, she said, looking him in the eyes. I've been looking forward to being here. Kyle responded, since politely. And I as well, Rachel, answered Kyle, extending his hand in greeting. You are a most welcome guest. After other mild exchange of pleasantries, Kyle and Rachel were prompted to take their places for the broadcast. A moment after seating, the studio lights brightened and the camera clicked on. Good evening, everyone, said Kyle, looking at the camera. Welcome back to Stay Up Late with Kyle. Tonight, I have the pleasure of interviewing the lovely Rachel May, who needs no more introduction. Kyle motioned to Rachel, who smiled and waved at the camera. Hello, Kyle, she said. I'm glad to be here. Well, I'm sure we'll have a lot to discuss, so we might as well dive right in, said Kyle. I'm very ready, said Rachel with a winning smile. Kyle produced the notes he had taken earlier. Are you a mother? Rachel, I and many others would love to know. Are you a mother? Kyle looked up from his notes. Well, being a single woman with a career, she answered, that's not something that has crossed my mind. Rachel smiled genuinely at Kyle. Very reasonable indeed, said Kyle. He referenced his paper of questions. Kyle asked another question. Hey, Rachel, ever eaten a raw egg whole? Asked Kyle. Like shell and all? Asked Rachel. Kyle continued. I have, like, a lot. It's really bad, though, so sometimes I spit it back up. There was silence. But actually, it gets easier the more you do it, continued Kyle without losing momentum. So don't start, I say. Rachel chose to not answer and look in another direction. Kyle asked another question. Rachel, do you feel guilty? Asked Kyle, hitting her with a hard question. Rachel raised her eyebrows. About what specifically, Kyle? Things in general. Life. Rachel did not answer immediately. I think, she said, that everyone has things they regret, but those things aren't always what others would expect. Rachel folded her hands in her lap and didn't have anything more to say. Kyle asked another question. You've been involved in a lot of different things, said Kyle, but what's your funniest story? Well, that's a great question, Kyle, said Rachel. I think the story I always remember is the first time I tried to make dinner for my family. In the soup I made, I swapped out the water with milk and tipped the whole jar of salt in the pot. While my family was sick from trying to eat it, I swiped their things and locked myself in my room. Rachel laughed elegantly. Kyle decided to move on. After reading his final question, Kyle looked up from his paper. Well, Rachel, he said, I think that's all I was planning on asking you. If that's the case, Kyle, may I ask you something in return? Asked Rachel, smiling one more time. Did you prepare for your interviews in advance? Because you seem very together. Before Kyle could answer, the cameras shut down. The broadcast was over. Kyle returned home, knowing the interview had gone well. As he lay in bed and drifted asleep, he felt that perhaps something was still missing. Kyle prepared very well. Endings 1 of 21. Well, I don't want this video to be too long. You know what? I can run through one more. Let's exit the bed. We're going to speed run this one. Open the closet. It was dark and you could only really see his hanging shirts. Let's do a suit of armor. Why not? After much squeezing and sweating, Kyle managed to wrap the metal suit around his dumpy self. Let's go up to the bedroom. Nope. Shoot, return to bedroom. Open the closet. No, we already did all that. Exit bedroom. Check locked door. But found quickly that the door was locked from the inside. After smashing his features into solid wood for several minutes, Kyle gained severe short-term amnesia. Kyle walked to the small hallway. Kyle walked out into the middle of the road. Let's visit the tech store this time. He was greeted by Techno Jim, an elaborate cutout mascot with flashing lights. Take him. Quickly, before the attendant could acknowledge him, Kyle grabbed Techno Jim by the shoulders. Finding that Techno Jim's cardboard feet were bolted to the ground, Kyle started to pull upwards forcefully. After several tugs, Techno Jim broke free, leaving one foot and one leg behind. Kyle glanced at the attendant, who was staring bewildered, and ran outside. Kyle approached his downstairs neighbor's door and knocked. Consume Gabby. Kyle unhinged his jaw and swallowed Gabby whole. Job done. Kyle returned to the street. Kyle made his way over to his desk and sat down. And he ran out of time. Rachel looked up and smiled. "Good evening, Kyle," she said, looking him in the eyes. "I've been looking forward to being here." "Here, you Techno Jim." Kyle roughly shoved Rachel out of her seat and placed Techno Jim in her stead. "Hello, Techno Jim," said Kyle. "I'm going to interview you today." Kyle grasped Techno Jim's hand and tried to shake it, but instead tore it off the cardboard frame. Kyle's producer, sensing viral media, pulled the bewildered Rachel out of frame and motioned to the crew to go live. Cameraman moved, lights flashed, and suddenly the studio was on air. "Hi, I'm Kyle," said Kyle, "and tonight I'm going to interview a very special guest." He pointed at Techno Jim using the dismembered arm. Techno Jim started to smoke from the heat of the lights. "Would you like to introduce yourself?" asked Kyle. Knowing Jim would probably not speak, Kyle took it upon himself to be his voice as well. "Hi, Kyle," he said, raising the pitch of his voice. "My name is Rachel May, and I'm a very special guest." Rachel's expression of confusion turned to shock. "Well, Rachel, you look way too thin and absolutely terrible, and you should feel ugly." Kyle gave Jim a meaningful stare. "Wow, Kyle," he said. "I sure wish I could look like you." What the heck was that? Techno Jim burst into flames. Instantaneously, the sprinkler system initiated. Curtains of water poured down from the rafters. Within seconds, the production equipment was doused in water. The set was soon abuzz with electrical fires. Kyle's crew abandoned their posts as cameramen and sound mixers to try to put the fires out. As the crew scrambled around, the cameras just continued to run. He talked today. Kyle sat motionless, staring forward. Eventually, the fires were all put out. Kyle's producer shut off the broadcast, leaving Kyle's vacant stare as the final frame. Kyle's ratings skyrocketed. Techno Jim became a staple on the show, often ending up destroyed by the end of each episode. Although Rachel did not come back on the show, her cardboard portrayal did. Rachel was very popular. Kyle interviewed Rachel. Alright, well, I do believe that those two endings will be it for me. You know, if there's more interest, I'll come back and maybe do a few more. But I don't want the video to be too long, so... anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Have a good day.